Have you ever felt like you were destined for something greater in this world? That your soul is meant for a specific divine mission that only you can embark upon? In this episode, I would like to share with you 5 essential things that are necessary if you are to align with and follow your soul's highest path. Welcome to the Boundless Journey, a place to explore life's mysteries and the depths of the human experience, so we can embody more authentic aspects of our truth, show up as better stewards for this earth, and facilitate this collective transformation that begins within each and every one of us. This podcast is a sacred space for your soul's remembrance, for those who don't quite fit into the old world, because you're here to help build the new. Let's keep it dialed and wild as we explore our infinite potentials together, one rooted step at a time. My name is Rob Villa, and I thank you for joining along to play your essential part in this most epic, boundless journey. Greetings, everyone. I have some Hojari frankincense burning here in my incense burner. It smells absolutely divine. In the true sense of the word, some of the highest quality frankincense you can get. I got this in Glastonbury at, what is that magical store called? Star Child. It's the most divine, witchy, wizard, pagan store that I've ever seen, and I hope to go back there someday. But I'm lighting this incense, calling in the higher frequencies to assist in this transmission today, to assist all of us who are taking part. And if you've clicked on this title, I'm wondering, have you ever felt like you were destined for something greater in this world? That your soul is meant for a specific divine mission that only you can embark upon. Like you are in a specific job, you may be doing something really exceptional. You may be doing a great service to the world. But just because it's a good life, it's not the exceptional, on fire, divine inspiration life that you know you were meant for. Well, if that is the case and you are like me, in this episode, I would like to share with you 5 essential things that are necessary if you are to align with and follow your soul's highest path. We are in a pivotal time. And not only that, to be incarnated as a human is already one of the greatest blessings and gifts that any soul can receive. Many elders, especially in the Buddhist tradition, talk about how rare it is and how special it is to be able to have the experience of a human life. I'm going to butcher this story. The odds of a soul living a human life is like a sea turtle in the vastness of an ocean sticking its head through the yolk of the little ring. So not only is it extremely rare to be incarnated as a human, and how so many souls would love to have this earthly experience. But to be incarnated at this specific time is exponentially more rare and more of a blessing. To take part in what many call this great awakening or the great remembrance, the convergence of timelines, where many ancient civilizations and cultures have prophesied of this pinnacle point in human history that supposedly hasn't just happened here on Earth, but this is happening for the first time in our entire galaxy. And who knows how vast and how big and how rare this occurrence really is. But if you're following this so far, what I'm talking about is the simultaneous occurrence of the manifestation and precipitation of all of these prophecies that are occurring at this specific time. Namely, the Aztec, the Mayan, the Inca, the Hopi, the Hindu, and even in Christianity in the book of Revelation, in the second coming of Christ, it's talked about. And so they've talked about a new world being birthed, a awakening into our true nature, a transition, a reckoning into higher states of being, from third density to fourth density, from victim consciousness to creator consciousness, from separate consciousness to unity consciousness, from ego consciousness to heart-centered consciousness. Also, we've heard this many times described as Christ consciousness. So, with how rare it is to be a human, and how rare it is to be incarnated at this time, do you feel that you just came here to pay bills and die? To suffer the status quo? To maintain conditioning and programming of the past thousands of years? Now, I do believe that some people are blessed with the incarnation of just being here to witness and play. And that's their soul's mission, and good for y'all. I am happy for you. But some people do not have that choice. Some people have a little bit more flexibility in their free will, and they can follow the status quo, follow what's safe, and they can go towards a more aligned path towards their divine mission. And there's some people whose souls agreed to come here to do one thing meaning their divine mission, and that's it. And those people find it very hard, if they're incarnated and living their human life and they are not aligned with their soul's path, because there is a massive dissonance happening within them, and because of that there's a dissonance happening in their external world and vice versa, and that is there geometrically to hold them into this vibrational framework so that they can align with the vibration and resonance of their soul's highest trajectory. Are you following me? Some people have a little bit more variance in what they can do, and other people, other souls, usually sometimes develop souls, or souls who this is their mission and this is what they're coming here to learn. They really don't have much of a choice. Even though we all have free will, they have less of a variance in what they're here to do. And I believe that's there for a very specific reason, because that means that pushes them to follow this divine desire that's awakening within them. And if you're watching and listening to this podcast, it's most likely because there is a divine desire within you that is whispering to you, that is calling to you, that is nudging you to take the next steps towards aligning with and following your soul's highest path. So, this is something that is very dear to my heart and something that I've been working with for many years. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, and in my practice, one of the main things that I love to work with people on is aligning them towards their soul's highest path and helping them through transformations and transition periods so that they can live the life that they're destined for, that they're meant for them to be aligned for this divine inspiration to be singing through them on a daily basis. And so this is something I've been studying and working with, and not just that, experiencing myself firsthand for many years, probably 6 years now. And so in my experience, I would like to share with you 5 things that are absolutely essential if you are to align with and follow your soul's highest path. Other synonyms for your soul's highest path is your divine mission or your soul's highest trajectory. The reason why you were here. The reason this thing that you feel called to and aligned to, that if you were to walk down this path and you were to be who you were meant to be, and align with the frequency and share the essence that you are with the world that only you can, and in so doing, take part in carving into this 3D manifestation only that which you can carve, that when you die and have your life review and your ancestors and your gods and your masters have your life review with you, they'll say, "Man, are we proud of you. We are so proud of you. You had a mission on planet Earth during this time of the Great Remembrance, and you did it. We are so grateful, and we are singing, the angels are singing and rejoicing, and you have accomplished your soul's mission. On to the next." Who knows how it really works, you know? We're all just figuring it out, right? So that's what we're talking about, though. When we're talking about your soul's highest path, your divine mission, your highest trajectory. So the first thing I would like to mention when we're talking about the essentials that you must have to aligning and following with your soul's highest path is patience. Something that not a lot of us like to hear. In this world, it's go, go, go. Time is money. Let's go. Get to the point. We don't have all day. The first thing I want to talk about patience is when we are impatient, we are essentially saying to God that you don't know what you're doing, God. Divine universal intelligence, you have it wrong. I am supposed to be here. Why am I here right now? So when we are impatient, we are in conflict with the divine flow, with the river of life. When we are in divine patience and sacred pause, like within our meditation or through awareness in our day-to-day activities, we are essentially trusting the divine. Also, within patience, it's important to remember that where you are is still part of your divine path. You are already on your soul's highest path, if you can trust that. You can't actually be off of it. there are just greater degrees to which you can align with it. Imagine you're hiking on a mountain trail, and this is where you're going. You can take detours. You can go, oh, I'm going to just check out this scenic route over here. Oh, I'm just going to go check out this tree over here. Oh, I'm going to go hang out over here. You're still on this main path. You've just taken little side quests. And all those side quests are just as important within the context of your soul's path. Are you following this? You cannot be off of your soul's path. Even if you stray, that stray was part of your soul's path. It was necessary to give you lessons, learns. You're on this side quest. You need to gather these medicines or something, or meet these people to bring you back into this trajectory. Something to think about is it's also non-linear. We conceptualize everything into a linear time frame, past, present, future. However, life quantumly, in the true sense of reality, does not exist like that. It is always manifesting in the oneness, where our past, present, and future selves are all manifesting into the now and collapsing into this experience right now. My point being is you can never be off of your path. There are just greater degrees to which you can align with it. And the goal is to refine that degree. So it's kind of like playing a musical instrument. Like your soul's path is to play the violin. This is a metaphor. It could be your soul's path, who knows? But the violin is an instrument that the refinements are very well heard. It's either going to sound really scratchy or it's going to sound beautiful. But you're still playing the violin. You're still on your soul's path. But the goal in aligning with our soul's path is to play it a little bit better. And so we can do this by refining the instrument that we are through health and through healing and things like that. The other thing I want to say in the subcategory of patience is that all paths are divine. It's not what you do. It's not what your job occupation is on your LinkedIn profile. It's how you do it. How is the universe moving through you to be of service to the world? It's within our society's context that we gather our worth through how much money we make, through what society thinks is a worthy occupation or profession. And we sometimes feel that if I am XYZ, then I'll be worthy, and then I will truly be on my soul's path once I have this job occupation, for example. But it's not what you do, it's how you do it. For example, I was at in the airport. I think it was Phoenix Airport, and I was just getting some hot water for some tea. And this man that served me, he was probably like a 60-year-old black man, very skinny. You can tell he lived a life. And because of that, he had a twinkle in his eye that felt like he held the truth. He was he made my day so much just in his joy and his spirit and his soul. And I gave him a huge tip just in the tip jar, just for him giving me water, because I was like, hey, thanks for making my day, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. And he is, just a restaurant employee in an airport. Yet, he just made a massive difference in the world. It doesn't matter if you are a gas station employee or a trash man or a hostess, or you are a engineer or the next Nikola Tesla of the world. There are no spare parts in the universe. Everything is intricately connected as part of the whole. Everything matters. Every little piece taps into the greater whole. And remembering that it's not what you do, it's how you do it, how we are connected to this whole. And you can be listening to this and saying like, yeah, Rob, I know that is great and all, but I'm in this job that I've outgrown. I thought it was my purpose and it is just killing me. And there's just so much stagnation. And that stagnation is there because it's not aligned. When you are aligned, universal energy flows through you. When you follow that design desire, universe says, yes, thank you for listening. Here's a whole bunch of energy for you. When we are stagnant, we are essentially swimming upstream, so to speak. So if that is you right now and you're feeling frustrated, of course, there are things that we need to do. You're already doing it. You're listening to this podcast. You're making an effort to make some movement, which is important. And at the same time, we also have to remember that we are already on our soul's path. In nature, things take time, and we are nature. And so we can look to nature to have some semblance of what's going on into our life. So we can't look at an apple tree in March and say, hey, I see your bud. Can you hurry up with that flower? And can you hurry up with that fruit? I'm hungry now. I want to eat now. I want that apple now. No, we we have to wait. This reminds me of that Mitch Hedberg joke. I saw a wino eating grapes. I was like, yo, you have to wait. So if you are in this time, just remember, you have to wait. And this sucks. I know it sucks. This is one of the hardest things to have to wait. And this reminds me of a specific rune. So I've really been going down the runic path recently after my pilgrimage in England, meeting one of my teachers who's an amazing wizard, if you will. And I took a 6-week rune class with him. And I'm actually holding a rune right now. This is my rune for the day, per throw. But I kept drawing this one rune, which is Isa, ice. Nothing grows in ice. Nothing moves in ice. When Isa is sideways, it means any decision that you make is the wrong one. The only thing that you can do is stay in the ice and wait for it to thaw. So this is a realization that I had when I was on my path and feeling I'm just so stuck. I'm just stuck in life. I don't know what I'm doing. And with working with the runes told me, just because you're stuck, just because you think you're stuck, doesn't mean that you are not exactly where you need to be. Just because you are in the season of winter and it is icy and it is frozen and you cannot move, and if you try and make any decision, it will be the wrong decision, that doesn't mean that you're not on your path. Your path is just in this season of ice right now, in this season of Isa. What happens after that? Yada. What happens after that? Spring. The sun comes and it melts that. So there's a lot more that I could say on patience, though. It is the first thing that I that I wrote down as the essentials needed to follow your soul's path, because it's so important. The first thing is just, hey, slow down. If we are working in the concept of soul, soul works with the totality. It works with our connection to the all. And to be in connection with the all, we have to lock in to that coherence. We cannot be in a separate level of consciousness or a victim level of consciousness from saying, why is this happening? I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to do something. And while I believe that the universe does respond to our free will, if we are working alongside the path of nature, we can have a better time if we work with these forces instead of against it. And so the first thing that is essential if you want to follow and align with your soul's highest path is patience. How can you create more patience? How can you come to grips to the fact that you are already exactly where you need to be? That you are not off your soul's path like you thought. That you are actually already aligned with your soul's path. And that you can continue to make the adjustments needed, because I don't want this to be confused with being completely passive. Absolutely not. You have to do something. You have to balance the yin with the yang, but you can't yang your way through it all. You can't force and assert yourself and assert your own timeline. You have to find that balance, that still point, that coherence within. Okay. So, the second thing that is absolutely essential if you want to align with and follow your soul's highest path is that you must heal your core wounds. This isn't to say that you won't be on your soul's path until you heal everything. If you are in a human life, you are healing all the time. It is part of the deal. You are never healed and then it's over. Healing is a consistent process. It's a consistent remembrance of your wholeness and embodiment of that. So this isn't to say that, oh, I have to heal every little aspect of my life before I can be on my soul's highest trajectory. What I'm saying is we need to uncover our core wounds before we can live in our authentic soul's expression. Because until we address our core wounds, our soul is not able to express itself authentically because it's covered up with masks and salves to protect ourselves every day from our core wounds. Our core wounds create these masks and it influences our behavior and our character. And it keeps us in a specific framework, a specific level of being. Not to mention, if you have an abandonment wound, the two main wounds are abandonment and worthiness. If you have an abandonment wound, which a lot of people do, what are the chances that you're going to set out on your soul's path and exacerbate that wound? Very little. We must uncover our wounds to discover why we are where we are. Why do I react like this? Why is this my behavior? Why have I manifested these situations in my life? Another word that is synonymous with healing that I like to say is responsibility. I would always tell my patients in my acupuncture practice, you can do whatever you want. You just have to take responsibility for it. That's what life is, being responsible for not only our actions, but our co-creation. Now, this means that you take ownership. If you are still in a victim mindset, you cannot heal. It is very, very, very hard. So healing takes place when you are ready to step into the creator role, when you are ready to take ownership of your life in all of its forms, and you do not separate yourself from what you're experiencing. And you begin to understand the divine connection with it, how everything is interconnected and interrelated, and how this cause and effect, this action of the universe to always heal itself and move towards homeostasis is presenting itself in your daily life. It's like saying, why do we get depressed? Well, it's because I'm eating like shit. I don't exercise. I'm not doing anything that lights me up. That's the universe telling me to change something in my life through this depression. If it wasn't for depression, I wouldn't experience that. I would just keep eating like shit and not exercising and living a shitty job. And the universe is reacting accordingly to make this difference. And so instead of saying, I am depressed, saying, no, I am a divine soul, a boundless, timeless being incarnated in this physical reality that is experiencing depression because it is guiding me towards my healing. So it's not to be confused with identifying with that condition. You are not the depression. You are not depressed. You are experiencing the depression. So we can take ownership, but that doesn't mean we identify with it. Does this make sense? It's kind of it's like a Zen koan. So we can take ownership for our co-creation, but we do not identify with it where it overwhelms us. Because if we take ownership with it, we are taking ownership with the fact that we are a conscious, divine, infinite soul who is experiencing these things. And I'm going to do a whole other episode on spiritual bypassing, but this is where people begin to spiritually bypass. It doesn't mean that you can just go to the end goal, because spirit is telling us to go through what we're feeling, because that is the darkness which births the light. So we can hold two truths at one time, that we are this infinite soul, that we are this boundless, timeless, unconditional love incarnated in this 3D experience. And we can also embody this in gross and mucky, nasty stuff to transcend it. And that, I feel, is one of the ways that we bring heaven on earth, because we are actually integrating our divine self into these other layers of being. And it's not to say one is higher or lower, because they're all different expressions of the one. So just a reminder to take ownership by stepping into your co-creatorship, but also being wary of not sidestepping the path. We have to hold it all. That's what ownership and responsibility means. When you are truly in ownership and taking responsibility, you don't have the option to bypass. You hold it all. I am a big proponent of radical responsibility. I am a co-creator. I will hold both, that I am manifesting and co-creating all of this, and I will take responsibility for that creation. So there's a big difference between taking responsibility for and identifying with. And when I say taking responsibility for, it doesn't mean blame. There's a big difference between taking responsibility and being at blame or at fault. It's not your fault your parents didn't have the capacity to see you and love you and made you feel abandoned. It's not your fault that you had to adopt masks and contort yourself into a specific person so that you could be accepted into society. What I'm saying is, in order to fully step into your soul's path, you can't be coming from a place that's not authentically you, not your soul's expression. You can't be coming from a place of the masks and the salves that covered your wounds. The frequency of your soul is an energetic signature that cannot exist in the constricting framework of your masks and yourselves. It is boundless. And our conditioning and our wounds, they hold us and contort us into a specific song. It tunes us, it keeps us out of tune. But our soul and our authentic soul expression is a beautiful song. And when we heal those wounds, we tune our instrument a little bit more, so it sounds a little bit better. Might not be perfect yet, but at least we're getting somewhere. So you don't have to have everything healed, because that's a lifelong journey, sometimes lifetimes. However, it is our responsibility to uncover and become aware of our wounds and how they affect our actions if we are ever to truly step into our soul's highest path. So that's part A on healing your wounds, taking responsibility, understanding why it is necessary so that your authentic soul expression can come through and it won't be contorted through the lens of your masks and how you've shaped yourselves to fit into a society that's not aligned with your soul's highest expression. Part B is, I would like to talk about one of the biggest wounds that everyone has. I mentioned this earlier. The biggest two wounds that people have: abandonment and worthiness. The biggest thing that I've found that holds people back from aligning with and following their soul's highest path is that feeling of unworthiness. Who am I? Who am I, little old me, to step into a divine expression? You know, this is a massive thing that is embedded in most of us today. And like, we all have a little bit of this unworthiness wound. And if you don't, a lot of the times those people have a little bit of narcissistic personality disorder with big egos. And they actually have the largest unworthiness wound, and they're just covering it up, just trying to trick themselves into thinking that they don't. So the fact that, you are aware that you have this unworthiness wound is good, because you're being true to yourself. You are shining the light on this wound. That means you have a little bit of a realistic sense of self-worth. But we have to find this balance. This reminds me of one rune, Thorisas, in divining when we cast it. And the balance is to find the middle way. When Thorisas falls to one way, it means you have too much ego. you're too worthy. When it falls to another way, it says you don't have enough ego. It feels, oh, who am I? Who am I to be worthy of the gods? Who am I to have this path? So one way is too much ego, and the other way is not enough ego. You gotta have a little bit of both. So no matter if you're on the path of, I'm worthy as fuck, or you say, I'm not worthy at all, understand where you are and try and find that balance to realize you are absolutely worthy. Honestly, why is anybody so special that the gods left them out? If you believe in a higher power and the beautiful interconnection of all living things in this universe, and how everything serves a greater purpose, why would the divine omnipotent intelligence leave something out? Why would it leave you out to not have a part within the whole? So if you are in that place where, oh, I'm not narcissistic, I'm not special, you could actually be thinking that you're special in another way, that you're so specially not good enough. Why would you be so special to not be good enough? Why would you be so special to be not divine? Just another little reframe to think about. So there's a few things I want to touch on here in terms of worthiness. Number one, understanding where the unworthiness wound is creating your behavior, actions, and character. For one, it can make you play small, not feel good enough, feel like, why me? So if that is you and you're feeling unworthy to step into a higher calling, just remember that the divine didn't forget about you. God didn't forget about you. It's impossible. And remember, it's our wounds that hold our greatest gifts. Our wounds are sacred. They create the compost for an enlightened awareness that wouldn't have been sprouted if we hadn't had these wounds in the first place. Remember, there are no spare parts in the universe. We are not at fault for our wounds, but we can see how in this dualistic expression on this planet that we have to have night to understand what day is. We have to have loss to understand what love is. We have to have these wounds a lot of times to understand what our gifts are. The second thing I want to point on about how this unworthiness wound acts is almost in the other direction. Instead of not doing anything because you feel not good enough, this wound can express itself by saying, I am only good enough if I do something, if I do something great. So it's really important to understand where your wounds are coming from and where they're acting from. Are you wanting to align with this potential mission because God wants you to? Or because you feel it will heal your wound? Hmm? Why do you want to be on your soul mission? Is it because of a divine calling or because it will heal a wound? It can be both. A lot of the times, it is. The only thing I'm asking is to bring awareness into this. Because you see these people, a lot of times this is in like this, you know, these like high performers, high achievers. I am only worthy with how much money I make. And I will do anything at all costs to get there. And I'm not saying this is how it is. And I don't believe all wealthy people are like this, but we can all imagine and know a person like this who feels not enough. So they feel like if they gather an abundance in their external world, it will make them feel better. It'll make them heal their wounds. And kind of like Jim Carrey said, I wish everyone could be rich and famous and have a lot of money so that they can realize that that's not it. Because money will only exacerbate your current state. I think money can buy happiness for sure, but it will only exaggerate more of who you are. So if you are someone who has healed the wounds, aligned with your soul mission, and because of that, you've gathered abundance, you're going to be living a great life. But if you yawned your way, asserted your way, dominated your way through life, like ramrodded everything to get what you needed, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but all I'm saying is if you did this at the expense of your wounds to cover them, well, when you're all alone at night in your multi-million-dollar mansion, it's going to feel even worse. And those wounds will be even more accentuated. So healing, kind of tying a bow on the second essential on healing, is the fact that healing has to come from within first. It can't come from without. That was a big one. Felt like I needed to spend a lot of time on that. And to just tie another neat little bow on that, the importance of healing your core wounds is essential to following your soul's path. Because if your core wounds are creating masks, it is halting your soul's expression from coming through. And you are not aware of where you may be acting from. And you cannot be a clear conduit for this divine expression to come through. All right, moving along. So the third thing that is absolutely essential if you want to align and follow your soul's highest path and trajectory is courage. I believe the intelligence of our souls are not divinely programmed to just maintain the status quo, to maintain this matrix fear program and conditioning. If you believe God is good and the underlying fabric of the universe is unconditional love, would that be God's ultimate aim and intention to uphold the status quo and the matrix fear programming? Or would it be to support our awakening to our soul's true essential nature? I feel the latter. So your soul's calling includes a song that might not be to the tune of your families or your high school friend group. It might not be to the tune of anybody that you know. And that can be scary. That can be lonely. And like I mentioned earlier, if you have an abandonment wound, especially one that's been unaddressed, or you haven't started the healing process with that yet, the chances of you going at it alone are very slim to none. Why would anyone feel even more abandoned than they already are if you're more lonely than they already are? That's why the healing comes first. And after that, it takes courage. And courage is not the absence of fear, as FDR said, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than that fear. A lot of times when we have this divine desire that's awakening within us, it's for something greater than ourselves. The warrior archetype within us is that warrior who is fighting for something greater than themselves. They're fighting for the kingdom. They're fighting for their loved ones. They're fighting for what they know is right. And fighting can just be a metaphor here. You don't actually have to be a fighter, but to be a spiritual warrior includes a lot of this vernacular to live for something that's greater than yourself. And if you were to do that, you have to face fear, hold it, not bypass it, but see it for what it is. and still walk the path anyway. And this brings us to our next point. Because in order to have courage, the fourth thing that you must have, if you are to align with and follow your soul's highest path, is trust. If we are working on the level of the soul, if we feel that we want to serve in the way that only we can because of our unique soul signature, we can't be coming from a place of separation consciousness. We have to remember that our souls are a holographic fractal representation of the one, the monad, the all, the universal divine source. That God is omnipotent and omnipresent. So if God is all knowing and all doing, and there's no thing that cannot be God, and God is by nature all loving, just universal love, divine unconditional love, do you think that this loving God would truly want to do something to hurt itself if it wasn't for its highest good? When you step out of separation consciousness and into unity consciousness, you align with the coherence of divine love. That if God is love and God is all, then all is love. Would love forget about you? Would love intentionally try and leave you out, put you down, make you miserable? It is possible, and I think we've all experienced that, but it would only be to bring you into a higher state of love and awareness. Like a loving father punishes their son because it makes them a better man. It is always for our highest good. And if we align with that thought process that all is God and God is always in it for our highest good, then we can begin to really trust. And our reticular activating system in our brain, which scans the universe, scans our reality, will start to pick up on all the ways that things are working out for our highest good. We can not just have blind faith, we can change our physiology so that we can actually see it in action. And I don't want to sound preachy or anything, but the Christians got it right when they said, God loves you. God loves you. Yes, you sweet soul. You have not been forgotten about. You are a child of this universe just like everybody else. We are all made out of the same stuff. No one is better or worse or favorited or hated because it is all that with a capital T. Tat sabito varenium, that adorable radiance of the Creator. I am that I am. When Moses asked God, God said, I am. I am. We are. You are. We are that. We are to the divine what wetness is to water. It cannot be separated. We cannot be separate from this divine intelligence. So when we begin to embody this unity consciousness, that we are that, we no longer feel separate or ignored or forgotten about. And that's when we can really begin to trust with our hearts open, with a divine knowing, not just a belief, a knowing. And then we can begin to take the next steps in following our soul's path. Mm-hmm. And when the universe sees that you begin to trust it, it will begin to show you the next steps in your journey. It's not going to show you all the steps all at once so that you can make a risk-benefit analysis chart with your logical dualistic mind. The universe wants to know, are you with me? Can you trust me? If you can trust me, I can trust you. And so when you begin to trust not just the divine, but the divine within you, when you can begin to trust yourself and you start to walk the path begins to reveal itself. This is a very, very important part in this whole entire episode. When you begin to walk the path will reveal itself. Think about it if you're driving across the country. You don't need to know every single direction. You don't need to know every single step at once when you're in the driver's seat. You just need to know what your next direction is, and you need to trust your map. When we use Google Maps, we have an absurd amount of trust in that. I've gone so many places around the world with Google Maps because I trust that thing. A lot of times I'm just like, okay, what's the next step? All right, cool. I'm not even looking at the second step yet. The same thing applies on this greater scale. Just the universe is your Google Maps. Think of the universe as your Google Maps. If we just trusted the universe as much as we trusted Google Maps, we would all be golden. But you have to trust. And how this will look is that when you and the universe begin to have this trusting relationship and you start to walk your path and you see how, whoa, like I am guided. I think I'm actually supported on this journey. The universe will then provide you with the energy or the gas, if you will, to get you to where you need to be. So as you walk this path, you're going to feel more life force moving through you. The divine is saying, you're doing it. You've answered the call. You're going on the path. Now I can trust you with this energy. I'm going to give you this energy needed to walk the path. I got you. You probably already felt this before when you were in a flow state. I feel like we've all felt this. Creating a song or a piece of art or a project. And the more that you trust the next step, continue to take it and in turn receive this universal energy, the more of a cleaner conduit and channel you become. Conversely, if you are refusing the call and you are not trusting, staying in this frequency of victimhood and separateness and lack, the universe isn't just going to give you all this energy and this life force so you can use it to scroll Instagram and not put it to good use. It's going to see if you trust it and if you're going to use it accordingly, because if not, the universe is going to give that energy somewhere else to someone who will use it effectively. So the universe gives this vital life force energy to the ones who say, yes, I accept. I don't know exactly where this is going, but I trust you. Try and feel back in a time where you trusted and things worked out, or to a time that you were filled with this life force energy because you felt this creation just move through you. This is a big one. Feel free to pause this podcast for a minute and reflect on how much trusting the universe and the intelligence of the universe makes a massive difference to you aligning with and following your soul's path. Where has it hindered you when you didn't trust? And where have you been graciously rewarded for trusting? People who've traveled really get this because whenever you travel, you're like, I don't know. Especially when you go to a different country, you're like, oh my God, I don't speak the language. How is this going to go? First thing to do is just get to the airport. You can figure out the next step as you walk it. So feel free to journal about this, to ask yourself how trust in the universe, in this divine, loving intelligence has hindered or supported you in following your divine path. Okay, my friends, you still with me? I know it's kind of a lot. I could have broken this podcast up into numerous episodes, but I don't want to. I think it's important. I think all of these things are related to each other. And personally, I like long form podcasts. I just put them on at work or a drive and I just flow with it. So if you're still with me, we're going to keep going. We've covered a lot so far: having patience, healing your core wounds, taking responsibility for them and how they show up, having the courage to walk your path that only you can walk, and trusting that you were guided and supported along the way. There is one last principle, which I think is actually the most important one. The most important thing that is essential if you are to align with and follow your soul's highest path is belief. Belief. If you've noticed the signs, you felt the nudges, you've heard the call, you've answered it, and you said yes, if you've been patient, moving at the exact pace that the nature moving through you has intended, not too fast or too slow, you felt the fear and decided to walk through it anyway, even though no one would understand except you and your gods. If you surrendered to the greater forces moving through you, using you as a vessel for this divine desire to be birthed through you that only you can bring forth, and with this, it's increased your relationship with the divine, allowing you to really embody this trust with your divine support network and allowing you to be filled up with this divine inspiration that's now flowing through you. There is only one thing that you need to do for you to align with and embark fully onto your soul's path. Be living your divine mission as spirit intended. And that is to believe. Belief is everything. Belief is what you use as a powerful co-creator to create this material universe. The thought forms that you have, which crystallize quantum waves into particles. If you have all of these first four things, yet you don't believe in yourself, the universe will say, all right, your wish is my command, fellow co-creator, and you'll be left not living up to your divine potential. Because your belief says, no, 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 I believe in my constricting construct. I believe this matrix programming and conditioning box here, which everyone else around me believes. Of course I believe this. I hate it here, but at least I know I'm right here. At least I know I'm right. And then your external world will just reflect that back to you. And that's okay. Maybe that's your path in this life. It's not so serious all the time. You know? However, if you have all of the first four things and you have an unwavering belief in yourself that you are exactly where you need to be, that you take responsibility, that you are a conduit for divine desire and are meant to birth something unique that only you are able to, and that you trust the universe, that you are guided each and every step of the way, and you believe deep down that you will succeed in the way that your soul registers success, then you will. It really is as simple as that. I just want to highlight that you will succeed in the way that your soul registers success. Success is different for everyone. Doesn't mean you're going to be a billionaire or millionaire. It could mean that you raise an amazing family, that you homeschool your children, that you make people happy. However, the divine is moving through you in a way that feels good to you, that allows you to be filled up. That is what's important. It's not what society measures as success. It's what you measure as success. And only you can know that. Just remember, it doesn't have to be some massive world-changing thing. Also, it can be a massive world-changing thing. We're all destined for what we're destined for, I believe. And I believe we have a choice to align with that. And we are meant to be as big as we are meant to be, not any bigger and not any smaller. There are some people who are meant to be the Nikola Teslas of the world. There are some people who are meant to clean our oceans or to create technologies that will change the world. And there are other people who will shift the world in such a divine way that no one will ever know. But it's just as important. It's all important, from the big to the small. So, belief is everything, but it is nothing if it is never met with any action. You have to take that first step. And I believe in you. I believe in you because you are already on the path. You listen this far. You care that much. Listen to me ramble on because you're trying to get something to lead you to that next step. And I really hope that something in this podcast has led you to that. And I trust that it has. And for other people, I know it won't resonate, and that's okay. You know, our paths aren't going to resonate with everybody. And that's good. It's all good. All right, y'all. So just tying a nice, pretty bow on all this, I just want to recap the 5 main things that are essential to aligning with and following your soul's highest path. Those are patience, healing your core wounds, courage, trust, and belief. Patience, that you're exactly where you're meant to be. Healing your core wounds, taking responsibility for them, and understanding how your core wounds hinder your soul's expression. Courage to accept the call and walk the path. Trust that you are part of a loving universe and that you are divinely guided, and that the way will present itself as you take the first step. And lastly, belief in yourself. Having unwavering belief in your co-creation, in your power as a co-creator. And so I want to encourage you to reflect on each one of these and see if there's one that really sticks out to you. Maybe it's patience, maybe it's a lack of belief in yourself. And just start there. Just start unraveling from there. And also remember, your soul's path is unique to you. No one, including myself or anyone else, can tell you how to live it. That's between you and spirit. So I've given you these 5 things that I've discovered, and I want to give you a bonus one. A 6th essential, a 6th little tip to aligning with and following your soul's path. And that is to just say yes to what you love. And keep saying yes, as long as you feel like it's healthy. I trust that you'll have a little bit of maturity in this and said, no, what I love is eating potato chips and doing nothing all day. Just keep saying yes to what lights you up, especially if you're a sacral authority in human design like me. It's very important. But just keep saying yes to what lights you up, and you'd be surprised how your path begins to present itself, as it has for so many people before. Just keep trusting that next step. Keep following that divine direction. So the only thing I really have left to say is thank you. If you are here listening to this, you know you're meant for something greater. Or maybe not greater, but better way to say it is more aligned, more refined, or maybe even just simpler. Whatever it is, I believe that when we align with our soul's path, truly from a place of authenticity and not from our wounding and conditioning, we create a better world for all. So, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And just remember, you are needed, or else you wouldn't have this divine desire waking up within you. And you are worthy of seeing all your dreams come to fruition. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Boundless Journey. If you enjoyed it, found it useful, or gained some value out of it, I would wholeheartedly appreciate it if you would share it with a friend, or leave a 5-star review, or post it to your Instagram story and tag me at Rob the Boundless. I also kindly ask that you hit that follow button and that bell icon so you will always get notified when new episodes come out. It's a little act that makes a gigantic difference in the sea of podcasts out today. And before you go, just want you to remember that the world is calling on the activation of your soul's remembrance. You are worthy, you are capable, and you are so, so loved. Until next time, my friends. Until then, stay boundless.